Due to a mix-up, tonight's edition of Q Focus should have been screened in an amended version of last week's program. We apologise for any confusion and trust you will enjoy it this evening.
Welcome to Q Focus. I'm Mark. Joining me is Doug Pollard, editor of Melbourne Star, and Pete Dillon. Thanks, guys, for coming back.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Now, one of the stories we wanted to talk about is David from Big Brother. He was the third last evictee, and he's had his fair share of the 15 minutes of fame. It seems everybody wants a piece of him, including his boyfriend planning to get married.
Yes, Sharif.
The National Party
Yes.
want him. Maybe you'd like to tell us.
Yeah, sure. Look, this is quite interesting. David actually came out to the world in the Big Brother house when he first went in there, I think in the first week or two. And whilst he was in there for that 3 months, started addressing some fairly important issues like same-sex attracted young people and the suicide rate in rural and regional areas, talking about same-sex civil unions or same-sex marriage. Also some sort of fairly graphic discussions, I believe, about the ways in which two men might interact with one another under the tuna. Yes. But it's interesting that first of all, Harriet Miller, who is the theatrical agent to the Stars, has picked him up and he's signed a contract with Harriet, and he's also being feted by the National Party in Queensland. Now, he's a farmer from Dalby in Western Queensland. It's not.
You know Dalby, don't you? So
yes, we know
what's it
Dalby.
like?
It'd be like walking into a scene from Deliverance. With no disrespect to anybody from
and no
Dalby.
water, presumably.
I'm also from the bush, so I can relate to it. But the National Party want him, would be quite happy to have him as a candidate at the next election. Barnaby Joyce has said he would like to have him. I don't know in what way.
Even though he violently disagrees with him.
Yes, Barnaby would like to have him. And, this is certainly not National Party policy. We're talking, they tend to be more in the ilk of
Bob Catter,
John Anderson, a bunch of people who tend to sort of, if they get any further right, they may fall off. So it's interesting they're fading him as a potential candidate for the National Party.
Yeah, Bob Catter was very anti the idea. I noticed there was an interview with him, I think, in the Herald Sun yesterday, in which he said, what kind of nonsense is this? Don't we stand for any kind of values anymore and all the rest of it? But he's not in the Nationals anymore, is he, Catter? He's on the outer, isn't he?
No, I think he is. I think he's
I can never remember whether he's in or out of the party.
Well, I don't know whether Bob Catter can remember whether he's in or out of the party at some points.
He definitely represents the extremist end.
Oh, he does.
Doesn't he?
He does very much so. So this is quite interesting that we may have an openly gay Nat.
I was going to say it is good because then you've got someone from on our side, like representing.
Yes, but I guess in the hallowed halls of Parliament, one small voice, and from a man who tends to have a propensity to weep at any given moment is...
Well, yeah, he does have that weakness, but, oh well.
I don't know,
he
I
is
think
right.
that could be a kind of emotional strength.
I think he'd last 10 minutes in Parliament before he's having to rip out the Kleenex, with no disrespect to the guy.
Yes, but I think he'd rip out more than the Kleenex. Once he got over the weep, I think he'd probably be ripping into whoever got up.
He's actually quite opinionated and has some very strong views, and I like that about this guy. I'm not a Big Brother fan, and I didn't watch very much of the series, but one of the things that did strike me through sort of the flashbacks they did when he was evicted, that he was lying in bed with these photos of Sharif, the partner who he'd met at Mardi Gras 4 weeks before he went into the house, and sort of looking at these photos saying, be there when I get out, I hope this is real, I'm in love with you, sort of at these photos while he's having a weep. And then, of course, as you call it, Doug, the big shampoo commercial on the...
his
the
exit from
the exit.
And running down that runway to each other's arms. I wanted the camera to go into slow motion and the hair bounce around.
They should have been in a field for
the teeth
that.
To sparkle.
Without getting into another issue, it's interesting that... again, primetime television with a viewing audience of 1.5 or 1.6 million people.
But of a demographic who are, I think, quite comfortable with gay relationships.
Sure. A couple of thousand people in the audience. I think it was certainly good for the cause, if you will.
Well, I hope so. I mean, I think it might have been preaching to the converted a bit because...
Nice big lip lock at 8 o'clock on a Sunday night on Channel 10.
You don't normally see
get any
that,
better than that.
No, I guess not. I guess not. And I mean, good luck to him. I hope he does succeed in whatever he decides to do. I mean,
With
he
Harry
doesn't-
M behind him, I think that's a given.
Well, I gather Mrs. Harry M is personally handling his account, so he's getting top-notch attention.
I guess lucky Mrs. Harry M.
Yeah, well, we'll certainly keep you up to date on David and his movements, and we'll move along to the census, which happened this week, and just a couple of issues for our community, questions that aren't actually in there, which exclude us from being recognised, if you will.
Yeah, that's one of the problems with the census. I mean, yes, you were able to record the fact that you were cohabiting in a same-sex relationship, but that's by no means all of us. Most of us are not cohabiting in a relationship.
Or for those that aren't
or even
in a relationship
at all. There was no way to indicate your sexuality. There was no way to indicate you were in a relationship with someone but not living with them. And there were no provision except a write-in to indicate if you were not one of the two standard genders.
Yeah, sure. I know one of the questions you could nominate your gender and
then say what you identified as.
Exactly. So it was about gender presentation. So that's sort of getting to some point being inclusive. But I think the biggest issue with the census, if we're going to have a definitive set of data to be able to effectively lobby a government to say, you know, we are 10 or 11 or 12 or 18 or 24% of a population, and therefore you can't keep discriminating against us by disallowing us the same rights as everybody else. We need to have that data, and the only way it can come is from the census.
Yeah, because I mean, the government uses the census data, for example, to decide provision for various ethnic minorities, and they can point to certain areas and say, well, if we look at this particular constituency, X number of, I don't know, Armenians happen to live here, so we need certain services for the Armenian community here.
Sure.
The local MP knows they need to court that particular community, or at least pay attention to their concerns. But if we're not identified in that way, or misidentified, or undercounted, which is what's happened with this,
Sure.
then
we're
we're not given resources in proportion to our presence.
That's exactly right.
And, well, how many of us are out there that don't live with our partners? I don't. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there, so we'll just go unnoticed.
Yeah, there's no way.
And remain so.
Yeah, the Greens did try and add questions into the census to cover sexuality and transgender issues and so on, but it didn't get by.
Yes, just while we're talking of counting, I just wanted to touch base on this final issue here with Halem.
Yeah, well, recently the Prime Minister has been sounding off and saying that the Muslim community can't send money to Hezbollah in Lebanon because they're a terrorist organisation.
But feel
not a
free to
charity
send money
organisation.
to Israel, is that correct?
Well, they haven't said anything about that.
Well, they haven't not said anything about it, which I think is the point.
The point is, if people do want to contribute to helping people out in Lebanon, there's a gay group there called Helem, H-E-L-E-M. They're on the net, www.helem.net. They have banded together with a number of other community groups in Beirut who are not gay in any way, shape or form, and they are taking donations on the net to provide services for the refugees, food, shelter,
water,
medical help, whatever else.
And I guess the final issue on that is that
great for gay visibility.
It's also still an Arab country, and you know, it may certainly change some perspectives.
Yep.
I think we're out of time, Mark.
I think we are. All right, thanks very much, guys, for coming in. Pete,
Pleasure.
Doug, thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.
Good afternoon, we're here on location at the fabulous Star Hotel. You know the one, don't you? And of course today's a very special day. It's the 2006 Bake Off for the Pride March of Victoria. And we're going to take you inside a little bit later on. We're going to meet people, look at the cakes, and have a look at the winners and the competition that's going on. And of course, there's always a little bit of goss, isn't there? So just stay tuned, keep with us. And I'm Harriet, you know me. Oh, hi, Laurie. Look, what an exciting afternoon. I just can't believe this. Look at the sun's out, everybody's happening, cakes are walking in and out if you forget about the people.
Oh, no.
Laurie, what's your role here? I mean, you've been around... Well, maybe that's not
many
fair.
Summers, born at a very early age, an untold number of summers ago, yes, I have been here for a while. I was at the tree planting at the Laird all those years ago, so yeah, I've done my bit for the community and I'm back again doing more. Today I'm just the Master of Ceremonies and the Chief Auctioneer. I'm here to raise money.
Yeah, you were saying before when we were inside that this is almost did a big turnaround now, we're back in the pub, we're back in the original setting of celebrating the Pride March and the auction and so on. So you're right at home, aren't you?
I am totally at home, you know, here in the Northside venues. You know, I'm fairly well known around this area and it's good to be back, as you said, in the pub environment. This year here at the Star, Tom's made us very, very welcome, which is wonderful. And everything's all happening inside.
Good afternoon and welcome to the 2006 Great Aussie Bake Off, the annual major fundraising event for Pride March. I'm Jamie Iverson, I'm the President of Pride March. I wish to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land where we meet today, the Wurundjeri people, and pay my respect to their elders, both present and past. I hope the rest of the day goes that well.
Now, you are going to have 30 minutes. On the table in the centre here, we have a collection of cake icing. They look a little bit sloppy and runny, but that's not a problem. That'll help stick everything together. There are chocolate bunties, there's licorice, hundreds and thousands of sprinkles, everything that a heart could desire. This time we are going to assemble and decorate a gingerbread house. Alright, your half an hour starts now. Off you go. Read the instructions, open the packet.
There's a young man next to me who has this amazing cake. It's rather controversial. It's all about, what is it about, Henry? You
Well, it's got two grooms on it, so it's about civil unions, but it's got a backdrop of a stained glass church window, which is made out of toffee. And so I thought, well, we could just go for the civil unions, or we could just go for, you know, the whole hog and put the church in there as well, and think that, well, you know, some gays and lesbians might want to, you know, going to want to get married in the church. And
it's an abstract view.
So why don't we go the whole hog and aim for the highest view of having all that we possibly can? Yeah. Some people want to do it in the church. Some people want to just have a civil union and not involve any religious aspects.
What do you think about gay marriage?
Look, I think that choice is what's important, and people need to have the right to choose to live together in the same way that heterosexual couples can, and I think that we need to also have the choice to receive the same advantages for our superannuation and any other tax benefits, and just to have a commitment to, you know, each other as gays and lesbians if we want to. So I'm all for it.
Now, someone tells me you've just written a book.
I have, The Park Bench, yes, which...
What's that about?
It's about cruising in one way or another. It starts off with a couple that are in a relationship, and at the beginning of the book they break up, and then Lenny sets about just cruising the streets, the parks, the city as a way of getting over his feelings and keeping away from himself, and it's about desire, and yeah, it's going well.
It sounds fascinating. I'm sure everyone's going to go and race in those bookshops just to find that, The Park Bench. That's what it's called. looking around at the cakes this afternoon, and we've just come upon this beautiful carousel cake. But Amy, you're from the Melbourne
with the Midsummer Festival organisation.
Okay, and this is your beautiful creation. Do you want to talk about your organisation, exactly what they do and what you're doing within? I know too that you play a musical instrument. What is it?
I play percussion with the Melbourne Rainbow Band. But with Midsummer, I've just joined their board of directors this year, and so they bring a 3-week festival across January and into February every year to Melbourne, and Carnival's one of the key events that we have at the end of the festival.
All the best with your beautiful carousel cake. All the best, Amy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone, hands off the table, please. Stop decorating now. It is entry number 16, Anna. Anna. Which one is Anna's contribution? This little one over here. Surrealistic cubism, by the look of it. Where's Anna? Anna, darling, up. Step over that side there for me.
Congratulations.
Well done. Now, run us through the architectural pointers of your creation.
Well, basically, when I opened up the box, all the gingerbread fell out and broke into small pieces. So at that point, I thought, the roof is just going to have to be the bottom, and then I just make it stuff.
Basically, shit happens in Collingwood.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, well done, my darling Huff. Number 14, Angela, gets an honorary mention. Almost a Jetson house, but not quite. Now, tell me what was the thought process behind this one?
Because I have two of my lovely German friends here, we built a bunker.
I told you not to mention the war. Winner of the novelties is the carousel. Okay, number 11. Novelty cake entry number 11. Would you like to join us up here? It's Amy. Amy, get yourself up here, darling heart. Come. Jump up. Amy, come. Tell us a little bit about your carousel.
It's on behalf of Midsummer. I wanted to represent one of our major events, Carnival. So I loved the idea of having a carousel with a cake. Hey, Christo.
Well done. Congratulations. We'll say thank you to the judges behind you. And lesbian officers, Victorian Police, thank you. Wonderful. Danielle, would you like to join us? Well done, Danielle. Somebody told me that your father's a builder, so the cake decorating competition was a bit of a sort of a thing.
Embarrassment, I think, if my dad saw that one. Yeah, it's a little bit tragic.
Now look, I have 2 speeding fines outstanding.
You are lucky.
Wrong department. Now, we absolutely adore the cake. How long did it take and who actually did the creation of it?
It took probably about 8 hours in total.
Wow.
It was my mum sitting over there in the back.
Thanks, Mum.
Thanks, Mum. You helped me last year as well with the glow cake, but she couldn't come back. Yeah, it took us quite a few hours to decorate.
Wow, that's really
Definitely a work of art and a work of love. Thank you very much indeed.
Well, we've just come to almost the close of the bake-off for the Pride March, and Damien, tell me about the cake and what the results and What did Joy get? Joy got a Prezi.
Well, yeah, we did. We kind of we raised, I think, about $750 with the cake that we made, and we made it live on air on Bumper to Bumper, I think, on yesterday. Yesterday, Friday. And so it's a chocolate ripple cake.
Very messy.
Very messy indeed. So we did it in the studio, and I'm really surprised that we didn't get anything on all of the equipment, but it was kind of fun to do. Full of fat, but shh, don't tell the person who won it. So, of course, successfully bid for the auction. We put in some advertising with it as well, so it was great.
You certainly did, and that person's very thrilled, I know that much. So what did you think overall about this afternoon?
Look, I think the turnout's been a bit disappointing today, so where have you all been? No, we've raised a lot of money. No, I think, it's kind of hard at the moment. Petrol prices are rising, and of course you've got the interest rates which have just gone up as well, so costs of everything is just going up all over the place. So, but I really, if you can donate to Pride March, make sure that you do so, because they really do an amazing job, and it's such an important part of our events throughout Midsummer. So if you can, support them wherever you can.
And that's goodbye from me, and that's definitely...
That's goodbye from me. Bye!
Bye. Till next year.
We're about to go into the auction. The work begins. I have $400 in the centre. 400. One more call. 425. 450. All done. Thank you, sir. Sold $450. The cake and the dinner for two at $11.15. Cake. Completely fat-free. It's fantastic. Whipped to within an inch of its life. Absolutely. We have a request from the back. Do you come with the cake? No. You just come over the cake. Over the cake. 425 in the middle there. Okay. 425. 425. Did we see 450? Twice.
You tight asses, fucking shell out.
725 if Nathan takes his shirt off. 750 if we get the shirt off. Anyone 750?
Are you allowed to bid against yourself?
Of course you can. Okay, he's bid against himself. 750. We need to take this one off. Okay. Now, just arms up in the air a second. Arms up in the air. Thank you. Oh, Tom, that's going to be worth every cent.